Hello kids, I hope everybody are fine. So today we'll begin a new topic. What do fireworks, rubber and silly putty have in common? Yes, it look like very different materials, but we will see what happened.
Hi, it's Doug. You live in a world today where you're surrounded by a huge range of materials, or the stuff that things are made of. There's wood, but there's also plastic, there's rubber, there's metal, glass, and cement. Now, you know that wood comes from trees, and trees just naturally grow in the ground. But most materials, like plastic, concrete, and glass, these don't grow like trees, and you can't just dig them out of the ground either. They don't form naturally. Take windows, for example. Before windows could be invented, someone had to create glass. New materials have to be created. Where do new materials come from? The answer is chemical reactions, the mixing of different substances that cause some kind of change. In an earlier mystery, I showed you many different kinds of reactions that acids do: fizzing, color changes, dissolving. But there's something I haven't told you about chemical reactions. Anytime there's a reaction, a new substance is made. That might sound crazy, so let me show you one of the acid reactions again. You saw metal and how it dissolved when you poured acid on it. You don't see a new substance yet. As you do this, it just looks like the metal disappears. But when you wait a couple days, the acid will eventually evaporate, like all liquids do, and you'll find that there's something left. It looks like little grains of something, some kind of powder. Now, this particular powder is what you get if you react copper metal with acid. What if you try this with other metals? Well, other metals also make a powdery substance when you react them with acid. Like, here's the powder you get by reacting aluminum with acid. And here's the powder you get when you react steel with acid. And silver. These powders may not look very exciting. I'm sure the first person that made these new substances didn't think very much of them, but they're definitely a new substance. They're not metal, and they're not acid. They have a new property. They're powdery. It's some kind of powder. And that's not the only thing that's different about them. It was discovered that they have yet another property, which I can reveal to you by placing a little bit of one of these powders in a flame. Check this out. Now, it's kind of hard to see that, so let's get the lights turned low here.
Oh, I finish.
Whoa, this powder turns the flame green. So the acid and the metal reacted to create this new substance, this powder that has an interesting new property. When you put it in a flame, the flame turns green. But this was just the powder from reacting copper with acid. Let me show you the powders from the reaction of other metals in acid. Like, here's one of the powders from reacting the metal lead with acid. Whoa. So you see, it turns the flame blue. And here's a powder that makes the flame purple. And here's one that turns the flame red. And so on. The alchemists were fascinated by this. They weren't trying to discover this. Their goal was to create gold. This didn't create gold. Instead, it created completely new substances, some kind of new types of powder, which could change the color of a flame. Could this be used in any way? Take a minute to think about anything that you could do with these powders.
What could you do with powders and cause different colored flames? You can make a show, you can make an animation. What you could do? Yes, I imagine a show. Fireworks, for example.
So, did you have any ideas for how those powders could be used? You may not have, and to be honest, it's not obvious. But some early Chinese inventors saw these powders and had a new idea. What if we made explosions that shot up into the air and made colored sparkles? Does that sound familiar? These powders are what make fireworks. Each color you see in a firework is caused by one of these different powders. The alchemists had discovered these special powders by reacting different metals with acids. When the alchemists had discovered that, they hadn't been trying to create new substances. Any reactions they were doing, they were hoping would create gold. It turns out they never succeeded in creating gold. They tried for hundreds of years. It just never worked. But by trying to do that, that led the alchemists to do something that no one else had done before, to mix different substances, and so to discover the idea of a reaction where two substances come together and make something new with different properties. You've heard me call that a chemical reaction. In fact, that's a phrase we use in honor of the alchemists, from the chem part of the word alchemist. And any of the substances that can cause a chemical reaction, like acids, we call those things chemicals, a word you probably have heard before. So it's because of the alchemists discovering the idea of doing chemical reactions that we accidentally discovered all kinds of wonderful new substances. Not only the discovery of how to make fireworks, but also new materials, substances like rubber, and soap, and paper, and cement, and plastic. Take rubber, for example. Now, besides things like rain boots, erasers, and hoses, without rubber, there'd be no tires for cars and trucks. And there'd be no rubber gloves for medical doctors and nurses to wear during surgery so that patients don't get infections. Rubber is an amazingly important material, but the only reason we have rubber is because of someone accidentally discovering a chemical reaction that creates it. In this case, funny enough, it was discovered that if you mix acid with the white, milky sap of a South American tree, that's how you get rubber. That's how rubber was invented. Let me show you what I mean. This is the South American tree I'm talking about.
There is
Now, if you
lots
cut the
in Thailand,
tree,
EVA
it
tree.
drips this white liquid. This is a
You know
sap.
that, I think.
It's called latex. Some people collect this in a bucket
Same in
here,
Thailand.
and then bring it here into a laboratory. And you mix it with acid.
It's great now, you know how rubber from Thailand is made.
And then you have rubber. Now here, you can see it get pulled out of the container. And then after washing it off, isn't that strange? Rubber is this tough and bouncy material. And it comes from a chemical reaction between two liquids, latex and acid. That makes rubber. Lots of different materials were discovered this way, simply by mixing two or more chemicals and seeing if those two chemicals reacted to make a new substance. Now, often strong acids are needed to make new substances. The reason for that is because they're so reactive. Almost any substance you put in acid will react with the acid to form some kind of new substance. But acids aren't the only chemical that can create new substances. In fact, there are some chemicals that are safe to handle and can create new substances. See if you can discover one in today's activity.
So, like usually, we cannot do the activity, but it's okay. You can watch, like usually, you can watch if you want. We'll give you the link of the video of the lesson, and you can watch. Us, we'll just see if there is other activity. Challenge when you drop Miss. What is that? Okay, we don't have other video. Okay, short video for today, but like that you will have time for rest. So kids, enjoy your day. Take care of yourself and about your family. And see you next time for next lesson. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions. Bye bye.